Alright, so this is part 2. If you don't get what I'm saying, please go back and watch part 1. It makes a lot more sense. But anyway, in Back to the Future 3 here, after Doc Brown tells Clara here that he's going into the future and she doesn't believe him and blah blah blah, she goes to the train station to run away pretty much, and she asks for the farthest place you can go, and this guy says San Francisco is the end of the line. Just interesting that the Super Bowl's in San Francisco this year. I mean, this doesn't necessarily have to mean anything. I just find it interesting he'd say San Francisco is the end of the line. Also, then she ends up getting off the train and chasing him down. But the train that they take to go to Back to the Future to push the DeLorean, it's train number 131. Even more interesting, when Marty and Doc both safely get on the train, it's at 1 hour, 31 minutes, 28 seconds. So 1 hour and 31 minutes into the movie, Marty and Doc both get on train number 131. And I never planned to put this gay porn looking picture on here, but that's the exact time that it stops on. Okay, so anyway, moving on. I know this isn't all over the United States. It's only local to Omaha, I would assume. I never seen it on CNN or anything else. I still just find it interesting because Obama today is going to be in Omaha, Nebraska. And during the Chiefs game, when they played Houston here, look what happens. I'm just going to play this clip here.
His first playoff game. 13 up, Kansas City. Coffee shorts, I like your style.
News Watch 7 breaking news update. And good afternoon, I'm Jeremy Maskell. We are live with breaking news. We've been reporting on social media and online all afternoon an explosion in Omaha's Old Market. Let's take a live look from our Skycam near the scene at 11th and Harney. You can see thick smoke billowing across the area. We know crews rushed to M's Pub around 2:45 this afternoon where people could see a fire from the street. Other people we talked with feeling an explosion. The restaurant was open for lunch at the time. Now here's a look at the scene from the ground. The manager at M's Pub, behind where that fire is breaking out, says everyone in the restaurant that was open for lunch at the time did make it out safely. As of 3:40, dispatchers told us there were no reports of critical injuries. Right now, MUD crews are working to shut off gas service to the area. First responders evacuating nearby buildings. Now, as we take another live look from the area, we know M's Pub, the building it is in, built in 1900, the restaurant a cornerstone of the Old Market Entertainment District. Again, the restaurant was open at the time for lunch, but according to a manager we talked with at the scene, everyone did make it out of that building safely. We will continue to bring you breaking updates on our website, KETV.com, and our mobile app and social platforms as we get them. We'll, of course, have the very latest from the scene on KETV News Watch 7 at 9 on MeTV Omaha and right here at 10.
So, anyway, I just find it interesting. Some of the details in that. It was at M's Pub on 11th and Harney. If you go and look, it actually is on 11th and Howard, M's Pub. But the whole block, it's between Harney and Howard. Howard, a 33 name. But the media reports 11th in Harney, which interesting, 11th Street. I've talked about all the 11s dealing with the Kansas City Chiefs. But Harney adds up to 71. M's Pub adds up to 71, just like Super Bowl 50. So, I mean, I know this could be, it's just a local story, but just interesting that would happen. So, I wouldn't have thought that much of that. I remember watching it, and I thought, that's interesting, but then nothing came of it. But I was on Facebook, and this was on my feed or whatever, and it said, 111 years later, this building is once again covered in ice after a bitter cold firefight. And they were talking about that same building that exploded or whatever. Interesting, though, this is how the media works. It's not just CNN, it's even local things here. It's January 11th when they report this, 1/11. They make this story 111 years later, on 11th and Howard. The Chiefs even won their 11th straight game that same day that the fire broke out of the video I just showed you. I mean, interesting here, even look. Like, 1,001 others like this. I don't know, it's sort of like 11 when you take out the zeros in numerology. Even 1,146 shares, all numbers I have mentioned in the last few days, 11 and 46. But somebody says, what day was the fire? And they say January 29th is what another article said. And then this one says, they actually said 128. Well, that is not 111 years. It's only 110 years. It won't be 111 until 128 this year. So interesting, they post this on 111, make a fake article saying 111 years ago when it really wasn't 111 years ago. You even come to the post here, or the link you can click on. I mean, just look over here. AAA 111, 111. The Chiefs haven't won the Super Bowl since 111, 46 years ago. So like I said, interesting. It was M's Pub 71, Harney 71, Super Bowl 50 71. Also, if you write out Back to the Future Day, it's 71. Even on 10/21 of 2015, if you write it out like that, it adds up to 46. If you put the 20 in there, it's 66 as well, but 46, an interesting number as well. Omaha, Nebraska equals 46. And Obama is supposedly giving a speech there today. Sometime, it doesn't say a specified time yet, just sometime after 1. Interesting too, the day that Doc Brown invented time travel, or discovered time travel, was 11/5/55, which adds up to 71. This date, so the Chiefs finished the season 11-5. This date is also 56 days before the end of the year. It's 56 days before the year 55, or 56. 56 days before 1956. Remember, it's the Chiefs' 56th season as a team. Jamal Charles got hurt on a date that added up to 56. Jeremy Maclin, his name in gematria adds up to 56. Also you got like Paris, France equals 56, ISIS 56, Osama bin Laden 56, Saddam Hussein 56, Adolf Hitler 56, Abraham Lincoln died at the age of 56 in the year 65, and Washington, D.C. that adds up to 56, also in April, the only month that adds to 56, which makes me question the Chiefs winning the Super Bowl. That's one of the main things that is making me say, hey, maybe they're not going to win the Super Bowl even though they're so coded to it. Like I said before, the Cubs were also super coded to the World Series, and they didn't even make the World Series. Ronda Rousey even adds up to 56, and that was a big story. Her losing and all that. So, I don't know. I'm going to stick with the Chiefs. I mean, maybe it's not all associated with bad things. The Chiefs don't actually add up to 56. They're just connected to the number 56. So, it doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to lose. And I've noticed a lot of times things can add up to something, but if, like, the date numerology is the same, sometimes if you add up to it, it's the opposite of if you're actually coded to it in a different way. So, for example, being 56 years old or being established 56 years ago and not adding up to 56 could be a positive thing with the number 56, but adding up to it definitely is not a good thing. Another example is in the World Series. New York didn't win the World Series, the 111th World Series. They add up to 111. So interesting, they made the World Series, but they didn't win it. Chiefs adds up to 50. They're the only team that adds up to 50, so maybe they'll just make it and they won't win it. But the Royals were just coded to the number 11 in other ways. They didn't add up to 111. But who knows? Like I said, I'm sticking with Chiefs winning the Super Bowl. A few other interesting things about Back to the Future Day. If you go to Pope Francis's 3rd year anniversary of being Pope, it's a span of 144 days. If you write out the word 44, it adds up to 144. Also, April 4th adds up to 144. This number is associated a lot with political assassinations. But interesting, if you write out the word 71, like Super Bowl 50 adds up to 71. 71 adds up to 144. So interesting. Also, if you go to today's date, it's a span of 84 days. Obama adds up to 84. Pope Francis, the first Jesuit Pope, Jesuit adds up to 84. United States of America adds up to 84. Obama was even born on August 4th, 84. But it's also a span of 2 months, 23 days. So the mirror of 322, we've seen this a lot. The word Masonic adds up to 223. Skull and bones, or actually skull and crossbones, but 322 is the skull and bones number. Synagogue, the Synagogue of Satan adds up to 223. Lots of other interesting things. The Curse of the Billy Goat that ties into Chicago and the Cubs, Obama and Abraham Lincoln, the only presidents politically out of Chicago. Or I mean out of Illinois. I'm sorry, I'm getting jumbled up here. Also interesting, the date numerology of today adds up to 50 and 30. You know, Super Bowl 50, and then the 30s I've talked about surrounding the Chiefs and how they're coded to the Bears and whatnot. Also in Back to the Future 3, I forgot to mention Marty has to save Doc Brown or whatever, because Doc Brown is supposed to die on September 7th, 1885. It's like 9-7. The Bears were established 97 years ago. It's also exactly 78 years before the Kansas City Chiefs' first game when they moved to Kansas City and became the Chiefs. They played against Denver at Bears Stadium. Also interesting about 1885, Grover Cleveland became the president in 1885 on March 4th, 1885. Interesting thing about him, you know, his last name's Cleveland. The guy who founded Cleveland, Ohio, his name is Moses Cleveland. I've talked about how the Chiefs play in the Sea of Red. There's lots of coding to Moses. Even the Syrian Exodus this year. Abraham Lincoln freed the slaves. Moses freed the slaves. You know, it just adds up to the same things as Super Bowl and whatnot. Also, Grover Cleveland, the only president to serve 2 non-consecutive terms. So just interesting stuff. He even died at the age of course, 71. Also, March 4th is the day that presidents became presidents before the 20th Amendment. And there's a whole big old spiel I have on Abraham Lincoln and March 4th and the 34s and 43s, but maybe I'll just post a little tag here. But March 4th adds up to 131. And also the small way, 59, like Pope Francis. Like Back to the Future, like the age Queen Elizabeth was when Back to the Future ends. But anyway, I'm running out of time, so I just want to mention this really quick. Back to the Future Day to the day of the Super Bowl this year is a span of 109 days. Been seeing this number pop up a lot lately. Didn't go back through my notes and look for this number that much. But the interesting thing, I said Obama is coming to Omaha, Nebraska today after his State of the Union speech or whatever. Now, Omaha, Nebraska adds up to 109 and also 46, like Chicago. JFK died at the age of 46. I mentioned all this in part 1, and my last few videos I went in depth with it. But he's also going to be at Baxter Arena. Baxter Arena adds up to 109. Interesting too, the 109 I saw a lot in the Philadelphia research that I've noticed. And this is the day that Pope Francis first went to Philadelphia this year. And if you go to today, it's a span of 109 days. Remember, he even gave a speech on Abraham Lincoln's Gettysburg Lectern. Also, look at this. I took the screenshot last night before I went to bed. I mean, of this article. AAA, once again, it must be their little trademark thing, but 11 shares. I mean, just the odds of that are crazy to me. And here's the article now. Says 18 shares. If you write out the word 18, it adds up to 46, just like Omaha, Nebraska. And Baxter Arena is at the college UNO, University Nebraska, Omaha, which adds up to 50. Who knows? Just interesting. It was also established the same year that Grover Cleveland died. But, like I said, I don't know. You know, it's definitely coded. I'm sure that something significant is going to happen today, whether it's just in the words that Obama says or something. You know, I'm just pointing out the coding, and we're going to go from there. But it's just interesting. There was the explosion and whatnot, and then he comes to Omaha a few days later. But have a good day.